Until you do right by me, everything you think about is gonna crumble.
This team will never go anywhere with a poor offensive line and being unable to run the football. Balance. All the teams that are doing pretty good, they got some semblance of a run game, some semblance of a line.
You have to make people pay for what they are taking away. And once you make people pay, then it opens it back up for those short drives that we all love.
Breaking the nickel. He talked about how to solve this. I'll tell you how to solve it. You've got to break the nickel. I've been saying it since 2021. You can go back and look. The Dolphins can't break the nickel. What does it mean to break the nickel? You must force them to either reduce their leverage, to creep up the line of scrimmage, to open up the outsides, and then either you run through it anyway if they're in the nickel, or you audible out or make a play call with a pass, and now you have a weak secondary and you can take advantage. But the best thing is to run that football, whether they got low leverage, medium leverage, or high leverage, and nickels and dimes. Beat the hell out of them and make them say, I can't do that again.
That I feel like we didn't start seeing normal defense until the Raiders game, where we got a couple zeros and blitzes. At that point in the season, we had worked to that point. And that's what you have to be able to take advantage of what the defense is not taking away while they're trying to take something else.
Then they come up and they play bigger. And when they play bigger, that's how you can get your tight ends to hurt them on play action or passes out of big personnel package groupings. If not, you're just going to be, you're barely getting by and throwing against pass defenses all day. Inside runs are the key. If you run outside, you could play the same nickel shell. When those linebackers drop to high in the box, it helps them get to the edges and helps them attack the outside runs. And it also helps them stop the pass. But when they come inside and the linemen make a push on that front, then all of a sudden there's a wall there, they get tangled up in players, and then the edge opens up. But you've got to do the inside runs or just abuse them inside somehow, whatever, quarterback scrambling or whatever, to compress the defense and compress that box.
All defenders were deeper, wider, and there's probably two safeties standing deep pre-snap where, they were vulnerable in years previous.
In the Broncos game, most notably, they pinched those edge guys inside and we would crack them down. It would open up the edge for huge gaping runs. But from that point on, DC started writing a book up that was different. They would bring those edge players out a little bit farther and then drop those linebackers a little bit deeper. And you see at the bottom over here, those linebackers, when they're that far back, they have clear runs to the edges. But it also puts them in perfect situation to get those pocket posts, what we love to do. And this is why towards the end of 2023, we started getting constricted in both the run to the edges and the pocket post, and even more so this year.
Not trying to backtrack, I believe in that, but I will always support a group of guys that have worked with a coach that we believe in, that tirelessly works to improve, and that group did nothing but work, and it's the hardest working group in the building.
And so all war is based on deception, and you have to understand that deception is not just lying. It's not really, that's not the key. The key is taking the person that you're going against, and even offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, guys lining up in front of, they're all practicing this.
Like, if you stay after practice, you guys seen there sometimes, you guys go back out and walk in the lock. Those guys are still out on the field working. And so with that group, it started the 2023 offseason. It was, are they good enough?
Is to take the perception of the person in front of them and alter it to a position where it's more beneficial for the person who wants to alter it. And so I want you to keep this in your mind as a lot of narratives are rising up. If you've watched me for a while, I did Suit Hustle in 2021. Dolphins have one of the biggest media departments. They totally practice the art of war, and they are all about subverting perception and twisting it to what's beneficial to them.
And we were the number one offense, number one yards per rush. And so we ran it back with a lot of those guys while adding Brewer, who was an addition that people weren't concerned about because they were focused on another player that wasn't here. And rightfully so. That player was a good player for us.
But Chris Grier, if this goes south, with all those picks, all that power, all the statements of, I made this pick and I'm in charge, and he's never going to get a job even remotely like this. He'll be in the back office or some kind of staff.
Chris, it was 5 years ago that there was an intentional reset, a massive accumulation of assets. Why do you think that, as we sit here 5 years later, the timeline to playoff success hasn't accelerated as quickly as I'm sure you would like?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. I would say the last 2 years we've gone to playoffs and didn't win games, that's not the goal. We're in there to win and compete to get to Super Bowls. Mike came in and kind of flipped the whole culture and how he does things. Created excitement around here. We made some trades and got people in, like I said, with the assets. This year, again, we had high expectations, like I said. Injuries happen. I'm not using that as an excuse. It is what it is. Every team deals with it, I would say our biggest one, no matter what happened, is obviously the quarterback. When he misses 6.5 games, when he missed it by a game getting into the playoffs, to me, that's the difference there.
Since I started doing this thing 3.5 seasons ago, offensive line has been my number one topic. I think I'm known for that more than anybody. I love the offensive line. In college, I would watch the offensive line coach. I understand the value of the offensive line. But the reason I fixate on it so much is because it's always been the weakest group of this team since I've been doing this gig here. And let's be real. Everything that Chris Grier said there's truth to it as far as the scheme and Tua and working together and all this stuff plays a part. But the reality is the skills position, the philosophy, the play calls and scheme are going to have to uplift a very poor unit.
We're going to have to invest in the offensive line now. Like Kendall did a fantastic job here for a few years, and we're just older there now and win. So, yes, this is the time again, like we did back a few years ago with Austin and Rob Hunt and Solomon Kinley and stuff. This is a time for us to, again, start investing in some offensive linemen.
Hindsight is 2020. We all know this. We look to our past and we go, oh, we were dumb monkeys there. Should have done that. That was obvious, but I missed it. And football evaluations are always excellent in hindsight. But good evaluations project what could be in the future. And then when the future becomes the present, the closer they are to what the evaluation was and what the present is, the better the evaluation. Nobody gets it all right. It's nobody. So, but you want to get as close as you can in your evaluations and get better daily if you want to be accurate.
And until these guys figure that out, nothing's going to change.
Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.